And welcome back to Survivor 50 days, or 50 days, 50 seasons in 50 days. I'm already all over the place. We just finished watching Survivor Africa, a season that, without nostalgia, is probably the best of the first three seasons. We're going to touch on that a little later. The panel for today, starting from my bottom, we have someone that has been on every single time I've done this. We have Julia Rowe. Julia, thank you so much for joining. We have Scott back from yesterday to play a double, to pull double duty, I guess. And then first time watcher and first time appear on here, we have Maya. Maya, we're going to kind of start with you as far as Survivor Africa. What were your vibes like as you watched that first 10 to 15 minutes, and was did you feel like the season ended up being worth the watch?
Absolutely worth the watch. I couldn't believe how much they had to truly survive in this season. I feel like I've never seen that level of um what's the word? Like severity from the weather and from the environment that they were in. That alone was just crazy to see.
What did you
Not to
think
mention the
about the
actual
cast?
characters. I'm sorry,
What did
the
you think about the
cast.
cast?
The cast was awesome. It's really interesting looking back and seeing season 3 compared to where we're at now in season 50 and seeing the differences in just the way that the people carry themselves. And like for Tom, for example, like he was a very interesting guy, or Frank, compared to somebody like Brandon and Lindsay, and just seeing the different mentalities that those age groups had back then compared to now was really interesting. But super fun cast. I loved every single member that was on it.
Yeah, boomers versus Gen X is basically what this season is, as Dr. Carl might even say. Uh, Scott, I know we just chatted yesterday. What was it about this season that made you want to, I guess, come back and discuss 2 days in a row?
I just really like early Survivor. Like something about like the first seven seasons just have they're very polarizing. Like these first seven seasons have a way of like wanting you to want more. And I don't know. I just like I watched Australian Outback and then watched Africa and I realized I forgot how much more entertaining this season is than the first two seasons. And it's like this time, like we had like alliances and strategy and stuff the first two times, but this I feel like is the first time that we really have like a pre-merge where it's very two-sided on a certain tribe. Like I feel like Boran, like they were for the most part like all cool with each other, but like Samburu, like it was very two-sided. And I feel like that was like the first time we really saw that in the first three seasons.
And
Julia,
that
same
tribe swap
question.
was significant. Sorry, I
Yep.
just wanted to chime in with
Oh
No,
that.
no,
That
no,
was a
no.
it was
crazy
very
tribe
true.
swap to
Yeah.
And we'll
have
get
three
to the flop.
merge
Yeah,
between
we'll
them.
get to the big twist of the season. Uh, Julia, this is your second time talking about Africa here, I believe. Yeah, pretty sure. Um, I know this is still not your favorite because your favorite comes later. What is it about Africa that has brought you back this time?
No,
Besides me
this
asking
is
you.
Coach. You are mistaken. I think this is 3 for 3 of me on the Survivor Africa podcast because it is indeed my favorite season of Survivor. Coach said this season or this time through, I wasn't allowed to do Africa again because all my takes are old and washed, but I fought for it anyway, and here I am. I, like Scott, love early Survivor. When it comes to watching the game play out, it really the season rests on the cast. With the exception of, the season having this first tribe swap, these early seasons, there's no idols, there's no big twists, there's no multiple swaps, demerging, remerging, all of that. So the gameplay and the progression of the season really rests on the people. And my favorite seasons of Survivor are where we're really seeing fleshed out relationship dynamics. And I think this is the earliest season that just shows it the best.
Yeah, I would say compared to Australian Outback, and me and Scott talked about this before we went live, where we talked about it yesterday, where Jerry goes home and the season kind of drags. Whether you like or dislike Lex, Big Tom, a lot of Frank, Brandon, whether you like them or not, they survive long enough that it makes for some compelling television watching them interact with each other as late into the season that by the time most of them are gone, we still have, I would say, a very fun Final Four, and two of Big Tom and Lex being these very larger than life characters that you're either rooting for their downfall or rooting for them to win. I was rooting for their downfall. And I feel like that's something that Australian Outback kind of lacked, as far as once Jerry's gone, we have no antagonist. And we talked about it yesterday where they kind of made Keith, they tried to make Keith the antagonist. It's like, no one cares about Keith. Here, even the moment, and I guess we can first talk about Samburu. Samburu, of the two tribes, amazingly is my least favorite, even though they were the more entertaining, because half of them are very unlikable, and it's two from each, I guess, group, or three from one. So I'm not a big fan of Silas, or Lindsay or Brandon, and then obviously I'm not a fan of Frank or Dr. Carl. Dr. Carl's not a fan of us, so it doesn't matter. What were y'all in Maya? I guess we'll start with you. Vibes on Samburu. Do you think you would have lasted?
Do I think I would have lasted? See, the difference between me and like, because I would imagine that I would, by looks, fit in with the Brandon, Lindsay, Kim side of things, right? Um, I feel like I would have lasted because I wouldn't have been as lazy as they were the entire time. Just seeing them do nothing all day was actually kind of infuriating, to be honest. Like you guys are here right now and you're sitting, laying and napping all day. Um, but yeah, I feel like Silas kind of had a good idea at the beginning to kind of try to get in good with the older crowd. And had he maybe maintained that, then he would have been in a much better position once they actually did that tribe swap and maybe could have made it a little bit further into the game. So that whole older people versus younger people thing definitely didn't work out for any of them, I don't think.
And, I mean, none of them made it in. So, and Silas, you bring up Silas, and yes, he is very smug basically every episode after the first, where you're kind of rooting for his downfall. But in the first one, it does seem like, yeah, everyone, he's kind of the swing vote, even though technically he swings one way and it ties. But once he picks his side, it becomes very annoying watching, because you shouldn't like Frank. You know, as an audience member, you should not like Frank. But you see how the rest of these people are acting, I guess, and you almost say, "Oh man, like, yeah, you're a huge piece of shit, but like, I would rather work with you." And he's treating Linda and T-Bird correctly, so he can't be all bad, right? Scott, what about you? Do you think you would have sided more with the kids or the adults here?
So this is what I would have done. I would have taken, so I would have linked up. I love me, like I love me a mom. Like I need me some mamas out there. So like I would have linked up with Linda and Teresa, and then I actually would have taken the most likable out of like the young crew in Kim Powers, and those would have been my girls. Like I would have literally been so loyal to them, and I've thought about this so much. Like those three girls would be who I worked with, because I just don't think I would have mashed with Lindsay. Oh, I think I would have. Oh, Lindsay and I would not get along. Lindsay and I would not get along, and I wouldn't have meshed with the guys. So yeah, that's what I would have done. I would have taken two from the older, one from the younger, and do a little half and half.
Julia, putting your love for Lex aside, Baran or Samburu?
I do think, as a whole, hindsight watching the season, Baran would have been more fun to be on. But I think you throw me on the island. I'm one of those people. I'm the 17th cast away, and I'm picking Samburu because they look more fun in theory. I feel like I could kiki with Brandon. Like the girlies look, don't give me that face. The girlies look fun. I feel like to me they embody more of the kucha-ness that was all the rage in the season before. They're like the fun, flirty younger tribe overall. And I think that's who I would have wanted to be with being out there.
Maya, I'm going to ask you a question, and I feel like I know Julia probably knows. I don't know if Scott knows, but we'll see. If you had to guess which one of the pre-mergers on this season has like the largest, I don't know if it's ironic or unironic support online, like they just have, this person has all the stands in the world, who would you guess?
I believe I know.
Pre-merger?
Yes.
I think I know.
I don't know. Honestly, I'd maybe guess like
I think
honestly Diane, the first one, maybe who was voted out because
No, it was Jessica or Jessie.
Jessie.
No, that's what I was gonna say. It's
okay.
Jessie.
Yes, it's
Jessie.
Jessie.
When
Jessie.
I was 10 years old, Jessie was my favorite going into it, and then she was the second boot, and I was so mad.
Poor girl just got sick.
She falls into this archetype, or just, I don't even know call it archetype, but this really common group we see in early stages of Survivor. I would say through the first 20-ish seasons when things were a lot more focused on survival, where we get a younger woman who gets sick early and goes home, even when the producers had cast them to be this larger than life character. We see it with Ramona. We see it here with Jessie. You see it, two people coming on in season 5 with Tanya and with Stephanie Dill, even Ashley and China, are like people that follow this group. And I wish we could have seen more from her. She's so fierce.
Yeah, and she was cute too. There has to be something that, like, I'm sure that they casted her for reasons outside of, but yeah. And so my other question with that would be, Baran, we're gonna talk about the Clarence of it all, because from jump and all the way through until he's voted out at the merge, these people don't like Clarence for, trivial reasons at best. And at worst, he just didn't do what they think that he did. But it kind of keeps on going. I think Big Tom or Lex, if they would, if this was off the island, they shoot him. This
Big Tom,
lot of just over the top weird things, and especially with the optics of Big Tom's accent. So what were your thoughts on Clarence in this season, and how did you perceive that entire situation?
So I think that they did a good job kind of turning Clarence out to be somewhat of a villain from the start, with the food thing, with Diane. I feel like, I don't know if we ever even as an audience got to the bottom of what exactly happened with that to know, but it almost seemed as though, especially the cast members, when that happened, they took that instance and kind of just ran with it, like that was their nail in his coffin already. And then of course, when Silas came over to his tribe and he allied himself with Silas, that was not really good for his game either. And I don't know. I mean, you can definitely see the racial attitudes though towards him the entire time as being the only black man that's out there. So props to him for being there, and from Detroit too. So repping my place is awesome.
God, Big Tom's in your backyard. All right. And Big Tom, to his credit, and I do feel like this is the better version of Big Tom of the 2 seasons he plays on. Yes, he is. He is a character of his time, and I do feel like there are more positives with him in this season specifically than there are negatives. I totally forgot that the powder puff scene doesn't actually happen in one of the episodes. It happens in the recap, because like I enjoyed his interaction he had with Brandon in that moment, because it does seem like he's trying to at least try to portray himself as open-minded. I don't even know if he actually was. What were your thoughts on Big Tom this season?
So I do think so. Like you said, Big Tom has his moments where he's like fun, silly, goofy, but then there are other moments where it's not so much fun, silly, goofy, and you think that wasn't cute. Like you don't have to say everything that you're thinking, and like I don't know. I was a fan sometimes with the silly goofiness of it, but not a fan with like everything like involving Clarence and the comments and everything like that. Cause like I also like I like Clarence. Like I had no issue with Clarence. Like I thought the whole like I thought it was really funny the whole like Clarence wanting them to cook the chickens and then they're like, okay, if they lay an egg, well, we won't cook them. And then the next day, the egg is there, and Kim Johnson's like, I'm just going to lay it on the pot. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a funny little storyline with Clarence. So, like, I like Clarence. And when it comes to Big Tom, not so much, but like, there were some fun, silly, goofy moments with Tom.
Girl, I grew up in upstate New York,
So did
albeit
Frank.
a very red part
So did
of
Frank.
upstate New York, and you see a lot of people like Big Tom who are really good at playing the fun, loving on the outside, but the second
Yep.
they have to show cards or show how they feel, they don't hesitate to do so. And we see that with how Big Tom chooses to not only like vote for Clarence, but the charged language he uses when talking about him in confessional or to other people. I think in my first pass through as a younger person, you are kind of drawn to Big Tom. He is larger than life. He does have those funny moments. But on the subsequent rewatches, I just find myself
Cringing.
cringing, getting rubbed the wrong way more and more by him every time I do watch him on my screen.
See, I think that I would. Yeah, Maya, go ahead.
I didn't have anything to
Oh, no,
add.
that was
I
me.
was
I
just
said
agreeing.
same.
What I was gonna say is, I feel like I would befriend him. Like he does seem like the type of person that I would hang out with, keeping in the back of my mind this.
He has a
person.
comp to someone I think we both know.
Probably we'll talk about it off air. But Ethan, so Gabe brought up in the chat about everything with the ham. It's one of the funniest moments in the show's history. You know, he's a Jew, he can't eat ham, blah blah blah. And then we get back to camp, and Ethan's like, "Yeah, Tom makes fun of me because I'm Jewish, and I make fun of him because he's fat." And it's like, I feel like those aren't the same, but you know, whatever. You know, live your life, and it's fun because Ethan would be my proxy in that situation of like, okay, I know this man doesn't mean anything by it, and I'm just gonna kind of take it at face value because one, we're in a game, and two, he's not Frank. Because on the other side of this archetype coin, we have Frank. And I know we kind of alluded to him earlier. Frank sucks. And the problem that I've always had with Frank is Brandon also sucks. And you kind of feel like you're in a spot where you have to pick between the two. And this time around, it's like, no, fuck them both. Maya, did you feel strongly one way or the other when it came to the Brandon and Frank relationship?
I didn't think that Brandon sucked all that bad, to be honest. I mean, I agree he's not really maybe the nicest guy on the tribe, and like even with the people that he was allying himself close with, like in his confessional, he had a lot of mean things to say about them. I thought that was kind of silly. But overall, he seemed to be a pretty smart player until he kind of shot himself in the foot, I feel like.
Pulled a Candace, and it was amazing.
Growing up is realizing that any strong woman or gay man in early Survivor was going to be portrayed as a villain and nasty. And
Maybe.
was he the nicest? No. I don't think he's as bad as some people have made him out to be.
Mhm.
Like
he
I
was
said.
just there, like living his life, like being himself. I don't know. I didn't find any problem with him as opposed to Frank, who he very much was like anti-Brandon. He was like, yeah, no, like he's not a guy who I would associate myself with back at home, even though he was having so much fun on their little movie date. So
On their little
I
movie
don't know.
date. It was almost like it was scripted that it had to be the two of them in that moment. And that is, that is one of the things that was so alluring to the show back in the day. And I feel like we still get those moments here and there. It's like you're taking people from different places in the world, different, views on things. And we're just gonna see how they work with each other. And Frank even sits there and says, like, yeah, we shut up, we watched the movie, we had a good time. He wasn't my first choice, but you got to do what you got to do. And Brandon's basically saying the same thing. And I do feel like, and for me, I just don't like overly catty people, and that's like because I don't like I love Rich in season one. Who was getting Jeff Varner in season 2 is my favorite version of Jeff Varner, which is not that high of a bar, but there you go. With Brandon, and even at the final tribal where Brandon, he says in his words like, "Oh, I already know how I'm gonna vote," and then he pulls an org move for the people that know that, and actually goes in and says, "Oh, I'm so undecided. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask you guys these questions," and then decides to change his vote, even though his entire goal is to shit on Frank. It's like, what did you sat there and said you had this issue with Kim Johnson for something, and we don't really know what that is. Uh, was Brandon the OG Demon Twink? In terms of Survivor, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I
love him.
don't know. It's just everything. I wasn't a Lindsay person, but the way he shit on her after she was gone, it's like you also started crying at that tribal. Like you were the first person to cry at the tribal. Lindsay's the one saying to you, "Hey, it's just a game. It's all right."
I didn't say he was the patron saint of empathy. I just said he's not as bad as maybe some people portray him to be.
Okay. So back to Frank a little bit more. We close out the book on this. Obviously, with Julia's name at the bottom, we have the never ever ever moment, which I put in both the advertising for this episode. I think I brought up yesterday, where T-Bird talks about how she got her cheeks clapped on a plane, and that was only the second funniest thing under Frank not knowing how to play never ever ever and saying he's never broken the honor of a handshake. And I realized today I don't think I ever have either, but like I don't shake on things.
Do
Like,
you also subscribe to the NRA?
Maya, what was the funniest moment for you this season?
The funniest moment for me?
Yes.
Shoot, the funniest moment.
Or just a moment that made you laugh. It doesn't have to be the funniest.
Can you come back to me? Let me think about it.
Scott?
What was the question again? I'm so sorry.
Funniest moment to you this season?
Oh gosh, there's so many.
I can go if people need time to
Please.
think.
Yes, please.
I didn't think that was
Oh,
I know
now.
I have not rewatched the season in a year. I just know this off the top of the dome. A lot of funny moments. I do really like the movie date, but my favorite is when Lex and Big Tom are on their overnight excursion and they're sitting out on the water and they're definitely getting wasted. And Lex says, "I never drank beer with a mustache before." And Big Tom goes, "I never drunk beer with a hippo before." And I lose it every time.
Okay. I definitely know mine now. So this is a smaller moment, but it's at the auction. and T-Bird has just bid on the meatball sub. And Jeff goes, T-Bird, how good is that? Tell us how good that is. And she just goes, good enough to make you want to slap your mama. And it just reminds me why I love her so much.
Maya.
Okay, you made it back to me. Okay, it's actually going back to Tom. It was like after him and Ethan had the conversation about the ham, and Ethan just kind of in casual conversation turns to him and was like, "Oh yeah, you're a bigot," and he's like, "What does that mean?" And I don't know. I just thought that was really funny because it was so casual and he had no idea.
Well, that's the thing with Tom is, and people say it throughout the seasons, like, we don't know if he's putting on an act or if he's actually, this whatever. And I think that it was somewhere in the middle, because there are definitely times where Tom definitely plays up the fact that he's this goofball but knows what's going on. The whole thing with T-Bird saying, "Hey, yeah, Tom told me to vote for you or not to trust you," and Kim Johnson's basically saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, I believe that Tom would
we
do
see
that.
it with it. I can't remember. Like I said, I haven't rewatched it. It was either this season or in All Stars. We see it with the chess, where they're playing the board games.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
he's clearly not a fool.
Yeah, not
He
some
just
dumb
can't
country
spell,
hack.
yeah, he can't spell, and that's fine because it's 2001 and people still couldn't spell then. We have the first big twist in Survivor history, I would say, with the tribe swap. And the first 2 seasons, it was just kind of, let's get to merge. This is another season where we still merge 5-5 as far as starting tribes and swap tribes. But we get this moment right after Linda, which, shout out Linda, one of my favorite characters on the season. After Linda is gone, we swap. And so we talked about yesterday the tiebreaker rules at this point, and the young kids are trying to force the boomers to stack all their votes so that it's not like, to make sure that Lindsay just catches all of these votes. And I once again sided with the boomers of like, no, you're not going to tell us who you're going to vote for, and we could easily jump ship. How would you guys have gone about that before we actually get to the actual swap? How would you guys have gone about that as if you were in Linda, Frank, and T-Bird's shoes?
I would have said, fuck them. And voted where I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
For real. I couldn't understand why they didn't want to give up the information. Why the younger crowd didn't want to tell them who they were voting for. If they were all voting for the same person anyways. It didn't really make much sense on their end of it to think that the older people were going to work with them when they weren't meeting them halfway.
And they also wanted the info too, but didn't want to. It's just so funny. Like, oh, tell us, but we're not going to tell you. I don't know. Just it was weird.
It was. And so we get to the actual swap, and we send Silas, T-Bird, and Frank over to Moran, and then Big Tom, Kelly, and Lex over to Samburu. And I think this is almost the perfect groups to go to the other tribes, because you want to see these people interact, and you also want to keep Big Tom and Lex together. And we get the fall of Silas here in this episode. And like I said, it was such a great 4-episode story arc of watching this kid go from swing vote to running the tribe to voted out in the swap.
Couldn't have happened to a better guy. Yeah, couldn't have happened to a better guy.
But he has a great smile. His smile in the intro, that's the only reason I'll skip the intro of the season, is because I like seeing Silas' smile.
Does it make you kick your feet like that?
Maya, this is your first time watching an early season like this. Were you shocked that the swap was introduced this early in the show's history?
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, seeing all the newer seasons and being so used to the swaps, when I first saw the swap, I was just like, oh yeah, this is no big deal. I think what was more eye-opening was to see their reactions to it and how mind blown they were that something so crazy could happen to their game. That was super cool. Because now we expect it, of course.
Yeah. And we still stick on tribal lines for the not for the most part. We stick on tribal lines for the rest of the pre-merge. And then I think Scott said it earlier. Once the merge hits, like it is still kind of tribe versus tribe, but it's even more dynamic than season 2, where yeah, it's Tina, Keith, and Colby, or basically Tina and Keith going back and forth between what tribe they're going to vote against. And in this season, it's not really that. It's just kind of like however we're always going to make sure that OG Samburu has one less. But if we want to take out Brandon here, we can. If you're Big Tom and Ethan, we can get rid of Kelly and Clarence here, even though, you know, and we're going to get to Kelly in a second because we are going to talk about Lex in a little bit. But I felt like the gameplay was even more fluid since season 2, and we're going to see that change even more going into next season before inevitably season 5 is just another pagonging. Watching the evolution of the game in the first 3 seasons, Julia, do you think that this was the logical next step? Or do you think they could have still spaced it out a little bit more?
Can you repeat that question? You cut out a bit for me. I'm so sorry.
I cut out. Okay. Okay. So what I was saying is we've seen the game evolve between 1 and 3.
Yes.
With just these little tweaks that players will do. I'm not even talking about the swap. These tweaks that players will do. Did you feel like this was the next logical step of we're not fluid all the way, but we're fluid enough that the dominant alliance will still come out on top? Does the question make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this was not the big leap that we obviously see in next season, but I do think this is a necessary stepping stone. I don't know if we get these larger flips that we get in Marquesas, like we will see in Amazon, these just constant fluid dynamics, if we don't have the things that happen here in Africa. This is the first instance of people really jumping ship. And it wasn't to the effect that the audience wanted. We didn't get the huge game-changing move, but you see people be willing to go, you know what? Yes, I could just stick with my group. It may be the honor and integrous thing to do, but this is a game for $1 million. And if I think I have a better shot over here, I'm going to go take that shot.
Scott, we're still in the era where we're being open about our alliances. You know, we get the friendship bracelets at Samburu, and they're straight up saying it's the 4 of us versus the 4 of them. And it just keeps on. And we talked about this yesterday, like when Jerry's saying, yeah, I'm tight with these 4 people on this tribe. We're still at the point where it's not weird that people are straight up saying, yep, these are my people, and that's it. Like everyone knows that Lex, Big Tom, and Ethan are a 3. And really aren't trying to do much. You know, T-Bird being the big exception, because her entire back half of the season is T-Bird trying to get Kim Johnson to do something. And I understand Kim can't because it's early season, and the men will hate her forever if she flipped on them. What do you think about, you know, this open of an alliance? You know, do you think that this could work now?
No, I don't think so, because I mean, we see it in later seasons of Survivor. People think that 2 people that are close are automatically a duo. So if there's 3 people, that's just even worse. Like that's even more threatening. So no, I do not think that these big friendship open alliances would work now.
Is the water reward the best that we will ever get? Ever? Because no hyperbole, I think this is one of the best rewards that any tribe has ever gotten on this show.
I do actually quickly want to push back before we move on to what Scott said. I think, yes, in theory, we're not going to see that. But I really do think, and I'll talk about it more when I'm on that season in about a month. we basically see, not exactly, but kind of like a proto early Survivor in 48. We see this group that people know is together that are very open about how they want to play the game. And I really think it just depends on a cast. Not, you run a Survivor simulation, you put every cast person who's ever played together and Brant steal them. 99% of the time, that's not going to be feasible. But if you just get that right group together, you cast for a specific season, we still can see old school Survivor in this big year, 2026.
Fair.
I kind of want. There are three things that I kind of want to touch on before we get to Lex, and just quickly, the water challenge. Like I said, one of the best rewards that any tribe has ever gotten in the history of the show. The cow's blood challenge is the one challenge, like one food/drink challenge that I've always wanted to do. Specifically, when Jeff adds the milk, it makes it look even better. But I would drink it raw or with the milk. And the Lindsay curse starts this season, where no Lindsays make the merge until Lindsay in season 42, which is just a fun little nugget. Now we're gonna get to Lex.
Know that.
Yeah, Lindsay from
Oh
42
my
is the first one to
gosh.
make the merge. Yeah. Lex, which in my notes I have fucking Lex. I've never been a Lex person. I guess by default, this is my favorite version of him because All Stars Lex is much like everyone that makes the merge. It's just a shitbag. But even in this one, I know I brought up the Clarence thing earlier where he just like really never let it go. And he was during the merge challenge and he's like, I'd be sick if Clarence were to win immunity here. His whole witch hunt for the one rogue vote that he caught, which inevitably loses him one of his actual allies that was never going to flip on him. This is your first time. What did you think of Lex 1.0?
I didn't like him very much. From the start, I feel like I just didn't like the way he talked to people, didn't like the way he pleads his case to people. He seems very manipulative when he speaks. I feel like it's almost transparent as a viewer for me to see that he's only out for himself, personally.
Scott, sorry.
No, I'm good. Go ahead,
Okay.
Scott.
Scott, before we let Julia get on a high horse,
I wasn't getting on a high horse. I was pushing back on what Gabe had said. Pushing back on what Gabe had said.
So I'm just gonna say I'll talk about Lex, but I just want to say I've told Coach this. I am very team Kelly in this whole situation. Like, not a Lex fan. Kelly is mother. Love Kelly. Like, I think she was done dirty. I think she was done wrong. Literally, she says in her confessional, like, I really didn't do it, but like, if you're gonna act like this, like, hey, like, I'll vote you out. Like, I wasn't going to, but if you're gonna act like this, I'm going to. And I just like it just didn't have to happen that way. And like Maya said in the season, like he had a way of just talking to people in a really negative way. And like it made me a little uncomfy just the way that he talked to people. And he fucking is the reason that Kelly got screwed over. And I fucking love Kelly. So like yeah, not a Lex fan.
And he also, and Gabe brought it up in the chat. He decides he's going to tell Clarence, like, hey, because I don't, I want to be straight up. I want to do this. It's like, oh God, like, yeah, it's the OG honor integrity.
But it's not. But it's not.
But why is it not? Why is it not?
This was Tina's entire thing, as we are the good people. And anyone who's not, they're the bad people. And we are the good, righteous folk. And anyone who we don't deem, those are the evil, bad folk. Keep
going, because I'm trying to figure out what you...
She's the one who, like, trademarked the good people versus the bad people.
Tina?
Yes!
When?
It was the whole thing. It's like, we want to keep the good people around. That's why we're going to take Roger and Elizabeth. Like we're the good people.
No, but I agree.
She didn't believe.
So, yeah,
she
would say that
claimed
publicly,
she
but
didn't
she
use
also
it as a
wasn't telling
weapon.
people. Like she was still voting out Mad Dog without telling her, because she still understood it's a cutthroat game that I'm going to have Lex. You don't just go up to Clarence. I guess at this point you kind of can and say, hey, everyone else is doing this, but like I want you to hear from me that I'm doing this because I'm a stand-up guy.
I do think it's a little unfair because we say that from the lens now of like, oh, you don't do that at all. Like we just see that happen with like Ozzy, but it really like it was a different time. Like it was okay to do that. Not like to do that, but
when have we seen it? Yeah, we haven't seen this.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like people would know where people were voting a lot of the time. So I think it's unfair to be like, that was so fucking stupid.
Because not stupid, just like condescending. Like it felt I don't think it's not a dumb move.
I'll agree.
Yeah, it's not a dumb move at all. It's just more like they both just kind of said it's like it's every time he would say stuff to people, it's like I don't think I like the way that you are saying this.
My thing is the people love Rupert, but they hate Lex.
And they're wrong.
The people love Rupert and they hate Lex, and they are exactly the same. They are the same person.
Are they?
I don't really.
Maybe I haven't seen enough.
I'm not a Rupert person either.
I don't really like Rupert that much either.
I think they are exactly the same.
So you're preaching to 2/3 of the choir here.
The people love Rupert, but they hate on Lex. And
I feel like Lex has a lot of fans. I feel like
I'm one of them.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the minority.
I think Lex is a fascinating Survivor player and a TV character.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've had someone quite like Lex, and if we ever will again. I think just the intensity he just breathes into everything he says. The passion and the intensity is like really what drew me to him the first time I watched. I really love people who really love the game, and you could just tell like he gave a fuck.
He did.
And
absolutely.
Maybe you didn't like his mannerisms or his way about it, but it was undeniable. Like he gave a fuck and he went for it, and I love that. I love that.
We talked about it earlier. You know, I think what this season has over Australian Outback is the characters make it far enough that even if you're rooting against them, they make it compelling television, because this season is still in the era of Survivor trying to kill their players. And I feel like this might be peak Survivor trying to kill their players, because we've got lions roaming around their camp at night. They're bringing stuff back to camp, and you know, they're all types of animals is kind of out. You got Frank trying to bond with an elephant at one point. Frank's most, I guess, my favorite Frank moment. Well, no, he was
so good.
He's doing the tail.
He's doing the tail. One of my favorite, but this is still the era where Survivor's trying to kill their players, not only, you know, physically and mentally, but also in certain respects, kind of, how do I want to phrase this? Well, there is a lot of just walking around and laying around this season, but the difference is the characters that we were watching lay around and walk around this season, you want to see what's going to happen next with them. You want to see what type of crazy shit Big Tom's going to do. You want to see if we're going to get good Lex or bad Lex, depending on something that happens. You want to see T-Bird fighting her ass off the entire. Yeah, go ahead, Julia.
It's not even just the interesting characters. I wasn't on yesterday, but did watch the pod, and we talked about, was Keith actually that bad? And it gets, I think I mentioned in the chat, it was mentioned on the podcast, you get to the point Jerry gets voted out. And the story has to change. to make a compelling story, you always need someone to root for and someone to root against. And when you spend the entire season building up someone to root against, and they go home as honestly as early as Jerry does go home in the season, she goes like halfway through the season, the pivot feels a little disjointed. It feels a little choppy. And that's why it's like, was Keith really that bad? I'm not really seeing the total through line there. But our central hero and villain are here until the bitter end. Yes, we have other villains pop up. Silas is a villain in his own right. We talked about Brandon could be a little villainous, but our central hero and Ethan and our central like villain anti-hero and Lex are here until the final moments. And I think that not even just your other characters, like Big Tom's a great character, T-Bird's a great character, but that specifically I think is what makes the season really great.
Yeah. And we haven't really touched on Ethan yet, and I do want to get to him in a second. I want to quickly point out, one, the Immunity Necklace is one of my favorites ever in this season. The other thing, during the merge challenge, after T-Bird sings tomorrow, we hear a conversation with the Kims, where they're talking about how Frank will never vote for a woman to win the game. And in the back of my mind, yeah, I think we kind of all figured that out. And I think that we all kind of figured that Big Tom probably wouldn't either. And we'll kind of get to that final tribal in a bit, but I do want to touch on the actual winner of the season in Ethan. At the beginning, I asked you, or at the beginning of you watching the season, so like last week, I asked you, people that you thought had a chance of winning, and you did put out Ethan. I think that was the first name that you said. What was it about Ethan that stood out to you at the beginning, and was he a fascinating person to watch throughout, and were you convinced he was going to win once he made it there?
I think that Ethan played a very safe and loyal and authentic game. It seemed authentic to who he is as a person. And I think that worked really well for him in terms of making genuine connections with everybody around him. I doubt that there's really anybody who was out there that disliked Ethan by the end of their time together. And he performed well consistently in the challenges. He seemed to make camp life really good. So I can see the likability. Honestly, I will say though, him up against Kim at the end though, it would have been close if I was the one voting. Especially Kim towards the end, she really was pulling out a lot of extra oomph to make it to that final 2 spot that I don't think Ethan really showed us. He was already just kind of in a good spot to get there himself,
Frank and Big Tom are not going to vote for him. Well, and Kim Powers straight up says, yeah, I came in planning to vote for Ethan, and Kim Johnson basically got her to flip. I do believe that Kelly's question of pick a number, unlike Greg, I do think that was legitimately the way she was going to determine the answer. And so every time that I think Kim says 3, I know Ethan eventually is the one that gets it closest, but I'm like, why wouldn't you just say 4 and just trust that you're probably going to get it?
I liked his number. It was 888. It was
888.
It's the Shane Powers in Panama, the same thing. It's like 1 in like a million, and they pick like 3 in 10.
Yeah. Scott, how about you? Ethan, just as a character, this is the first of 3 times that we're going to see him. He, as far as a character, he might be below Tom and Lex and maybe even T-Bird. But what is your opinion on him, especially this time watching?
I feel like this time watching, I've watched this season a few times, but this time I really was able to like notice like he kind of gets like your like typical like winners at it. Like there are a few, I mean, yes, I knew he was gonna win, but like there were a few moments where I'm like, okay, now that I've seen this a few times, like this edit definitely makes sense for him to be the winner. And like I just honestly like I don't really have a bad thing to say about Ethan. Like, I mean, he's easy on the eye, so that doesn't hurt. But like also like good strategy, good alliances, good relationships, and I do like I don't know. I like that it was him and Kim Johnson sitting in the final two. And I think I mentioned this to Coach earlier that the two of them, like I would have been okay with either of them winning. So I don't know. Like I like Ethan and I think he's a solid winner.
Julia?
Yeah, he's the prototypical social winner.
Yes.
I always say it. You can win every single challenge. You can orchestrate blindside after blindside, but the only way to win is to have the people on the jury want to vote for you. And everyone has different metrics, what they're looking for. But overall, people want to vote for someone they like. No matter how much people talk a big game of, I'm going to vote for whoever is the best game. And then people want to vote for who they like and who is going to feel good for them to vote for. And Ethan was great at that. He made good relationships. He was affable. The moves he made, unlike the ones Alex did, which were super out in front. I'm sorry, am I echoing a bit? I feel like I heard
I believe so.
Sorry. The things that Lex did were super out in front. The moves that Ethan made were much more subtle. We see with the throne challenge to get out Silas, having Big Tom come together with him to vote for Brandon at the point they did to weaken Lex there. The subtle moves that still kept those relationships good with him, which is most important.
Yeah, and I would say that both times he comes back, and even though he goes home pre-merge in his next two times coming back, and this is kind of leading into our final couple questions here, we have Ethan, Lex, Big Tom, and that's it that come back, right? Is there anyone, and I feel like this should be a simple answer, but maybe, is there any one of the three of them where this is the best version of them, or do we get the best version of any of these three people in either of their returnee seasons?
I think this is all of their best.
Not in terms of like placement, just like.
I think this is all of their best version, but I do think All Stars Ethan is my favorite Ethan because we see a little bit of a bite in him. We see a little edge. We get annoyed Ethan. We get Ethan pissed off at Jerry. And so that's my favorite Ethan. But I do
And
think
Jenna.
And Jenna. But I do think this is all of their best outings as Survivor players.
Scott?
So, I mean, I have a little crush on Ethan, so I think I like Ethan, and every version of Ethan is like my favorite Ethan.
Okay.
But I would say, for the most part, I think, like, for the other two, like, that's probably their best version. But for Ethan, it's like any version is a good version.
Just Ethan.
Yeah, just Ethan.
Maya, what are your final thoughts on the season? You know, this is now the oldest season that you have watched. What were your final thoughts on it?
I really like the element of survival being such a prominent role in what they're doing. Just I mean, they had to boil their water. They had to, they were eating mush with seasoning in it. And I don't know, just also the animals, the actual environment that they were in, that's unreal to me that they were there next to lions and elephants and scary looking bulls that I don't know the name of.
And
it was amazing.
Water. And shit water.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so Scott, Julia, question time. And I'll start with Julia. Something that a modern day Survivor fan or the modern day Survivor fandom would hate about Survivor Africa.
It's not woke enough. It's not woke enough. I feel like there's some people who would be like, they try to cancel Tom. Like, do I like the things Tom said sometimes? No. Product of the time. Do I like some of the things Frank says? No, product of his time. I feel like this cast in general would be not liked if you just slapped all of them, time capsule them, and put them on season 52.
Scott?
Julia, get out of my head, because like that's kind of what I was gonna say. Like some of the stuff that these people were saying would not fly in current Survivor.
So I'm going to say something different because once again, I feel like I have a so the fandom would absolutely hate the fact that there was any type of twist because as you guys know, the fandom hates anything that the show does, whether it's good or bad. So you introducing a swap is going to piss off like, oh, I liked it better when they just stuck with each other until the end. I just kind of feel
There would be like a Twitter hashtag to like bring back Silas because he's the most loved player of all time.
Silas was robbed somehow.
Silas robbed, of course.
It's not. It doesn't. Not integrity, but it kind of it breaks the game when you throw challenges. It's like
it messes with the integrity of the game. This isn't Survivor.
But throwing challenges is a strategy.
Oh no, yeah, we're with you. Unless you're like Drew Christie. Okay, so
yeah,
we're naming slowly. We're ready to hit Survivor Marquesas and the next evolution of where the game is going to go. Tomorrow I have Gia Worthy from Everywhere, and I have Mario Lanza from the Funny 115 to kind of talk about that next step in this in this 50-day journey before I hit Thailand the day before my birthday. Maya, Scott, Julia, thank you guys so much for taking the time to join us tonight. I guess I did say it was going to be about an hour, and it hit an hour. I think this is did everyone freeze or did I freeze? Did I freeze?
You froze.
No, I froze. I don't see you frozen.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you guys all for joining. Thank you everyone in the chat. As always, thank you to everyone that has been watching the replays afterwards. We will definitely be going live at 9:30 tomorrow night. So I'm going to start watching more cases tonight so I can finish before the Survivor 50 episode at 8 tomorrow so that I can record at 9:30. Who would your ally be in this season? Frank, no. I've probably Ethan. Like Ethan. It would have to be Ethan. Or T-Bird. Ethan or T-Bird. Also, I saw your dig about the Aussie thing. Don't worry, we've got it. Julia will be back for Aussie's first season, so you'll be able to give me all my Aussie shit then.
Yes.
But thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow for Survivor Marquesas.
For anyone who watches the replay and don't agree with my Lex takes, my inbox is open. You know where to find me.
I feel like I'm in the minority with Lex. But we'll see each other. We'll see everyone tomorrow for Survivor Marquesas.